Today's reading's kind of interesting. Well, a lot of them are interesting. Yeah, granted, some aren't, but this one's kind of interesting. I just came back from an most of the day business meeting, like 6 a.m. until 2:30, something like that. So did I go like this? No, of course I didn't go like this, but when I get back from something like that, I like to change into something more relaxing so I can do some exercise, because I believe in lots of different exercise. I believe in physical exercise, mental exercise, and spiritual exercise. So you need that balance, actually. The first quote of the day, and oh, by the way, the title, in case you didn't read it, is Already Home. Already Home. And we'll see what that means. First quote is from a famous Tibetan Buddhist of the last century called Nyosho Chen Rinpoche. He's quite well known in spiritual circles. Anyway, he says, we must first realize that the true cause of suffering is not outside, but inside. We must first realize that the true cause of suffering is not outside, but inside. And actually, if you think about it, that's 100% true. You know, the difference, as we mentioned in the past, between pain on the one hand and suffering on the other is how you actually process that. So you can have pain and not suffer, and you can have pain and suffer. You can have pain in lots of different ways, not just physical pain, mental pain. You can have pain because your finances are wacky. And it's how you deal with life situations that discern or determine the difference between whether it's pain, whether it's suffering, and how you handle it. And the quote from Ernest Holmes in It's Up to You on page 78 of that publication, he's actually quoting Jesus, even though he doesn't say so, he is. He says, we're in heaven now. The kingdom of heaven is within us. No condition, no place, no person except ourselves can cheat us out of the kingdom of heaven. It is a state of mind. Now, for the ones of you who are familiar with the Christian scriptures, know that Jesus, on many occasions, he either said, the kingdom of God is within you, or the kingdom of heaven is within you. And in other words, you need to look inside yourself for the answers. But a lot of Christian teaching and a lot of Christian interpretation bypasses that. It just goes straight over it, and it doesn't try to figure out what that means. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And if you don't believe me, go look it up. And if you want some quotes, text me. I can give you some. Anyway, this is what Reverend David says. He says, enlightenment is not something that we attain. All right, remember, this is his opinion. It is what we already are. This can feel elusive because we're conditioned to chase, fix, and improve. But clarity begins when we shift our attention from effort to allowance, when we learn to love what is, not because it fits our preference, but because love is what we are. Thaddeus Golas reminds us in The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, I'm going to look that one up, that anything that feels expansive is aligned with enlightenment. Anything that feels restrictive is not. This isn't a moral judgment. It's a vibrational recognition. We feel our way to the truth. He says, at the most fundamental level, all beings, human and otherwise, are equal in essence. When we see inequality or brokenness, we see illusion, not reality. And yet this recognition does not dismiss the suffering experienced within the dream. It doesn't excuse us from responding. He says the path of the Bodhisattva, in Buddhist philosophy, invites us to act inside the illusion, not as rescuers, but as presences of love and remembrance. It invites us to be calm hands, listening ears, and living reminders of wholeness for those who have not yet glimpsed their own. We do not bypass pain. We meet it with compassion, holding space until the illusion dissolves. The invitation is not to change the world, but to notice what contracts us and choose what expands, to stop fighting the hell of life and to love even the discomfort, because that is the doorway to heaven. He says, not after death, but here. Now, you are already home. Let your vibration catch up to that truth and carry it for others until they remember too. But it's not as simple as that. It's complicated. I mean, it is really complicated. Ernest Holmes did not believe that this life is an illusion. He believed that this life is real. I believe this life is real. I don't believe that it's Maya, that it's just imagination. But I do believe that we can get beyond the trials and tribulations of this life through our attitude of mind, through our mental and spiritual work. But I certainly don't believe that it's illusion. If you're suffering pain, or you're experiencing pain, I should say, if you're experiencing pain, you are experiencing pain, and that is not an illusion. But with the right belief, thought plus feeling, you can get beyond that pain into ease. You can get beyond the dis-ease into ease. Why all this happens, nobody knows. I mean, people will tell you they do, they don't. Nobody knows. However, what we do know is that within us, we have that power flowing through us that when we tune into it, allows us to overcome the trials and tribulations of this world. And that's how I look at this. Are we already enlightened? Well, the answer is yes and no. We have the potential to go back to a state of enlightenment. However, the Buddha didn't go through all that stuff and become enlightened because he already was enlightened. He possessed the ability within himself to be enlightened, and he became enlightened. Enlightenment simply means seeing the truth of life as it really is and being able to respond to it. So, and it moves you from suffering into knowingness of what's going on. So that is my message for today. Reverend Lisa, my colleague, who will be on at 9:15 tomorrow on Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page, will continually remind you and me and everybody else that self-care is incredibly important. Self-care simply means that you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of somebody else. How many caregivers succumb to things before the people they're taking care of, pass away before the people they're taking care of? The oxygen mask, we all know, right? You've got to put the oxygen mask on so that you can breathe, so that you can help other people. Same thing in life. You have to have the physical and mental ability by taking care of yourself so that you can look after other people. So I discern what is restrictive and what is expansive and make my choice wisely, right? I discern what is restrictive and what is expansive, and I make my choice wisely. I think that's pretty good. So I will be back hopefully at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, I don't see anything getting in the way, but life is what it is, right, folks? So until next time, namaste. Oh, and my prayer for everybody is this. I pray that everyone is able to discern the fact that they are children of one source, one divine source, and that they allow that to flow into their lives. And I claim it for each and every person who's watching this, every person who listens to this, and I claim that that is so.